true.
I actually don't think there are any in there.
Well, they're kind of variants of it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Age of Myth.
You got it right the first time.
I did, because I was looking at it as I was talking, so that I knew where I was at.
Welcome back to Age of Myth.
Give me 5 more years, and then I will be doing the squinty thing.
Age of Santos, a Star Wars story.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's all I gotta say. All right. Let's see. We have no announcements at the moment. I don't think so. That was easy.
Happy Pride.
Yeah. There's
It's
that.
June.
It's June. It's June. Happy June 4th. Yay.
Yeah, happy birthday, everyone.
Yeah. Happy that. Happy all of those things. Yeah, it's good to be here. Glad to be back on. I felt like it was a long time since our last time, but it's technically less than our normal time. So that was weird. But here
It's
we are.
because you've been so busy
Oh
trying
God.
to compress far too many things into a much smaller period that it feels like more time has gone by for you.
Yeah, there was a large sense of relief this morning when I did not have to think about a bunch of things coming up. I still have an event on Saturday, but it's a library and it's just a bunch of kids and it's real easy. Not
I
like
feel like that's your favorite event, though, is the kid events.
Yeah, kind of. Look, it's a little. I don't know. They are enjoyable. I will say though, the one where there's no kids, it's just fight. No kids, just fight. Those are also fun too. But there was a lot more planning involved in that one, and that was crazy. As soon as we get a video montage put together, I will throw it up there in the Discord for everyone to enjoy the ridiculousness of fighting for a baseball team that wound up losing.
Oh no.
Yeah. I remember how I was like this close. I was going to do the bad guys were going to win the saber fight. I'm very glad we did not do that because it would have been very, very painful. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. We are going to get ready to play some D&D. So,
Yeah.
woohoo. And now we have everybody here. Glad Astrid is feeling better. Welcome back from the lands of hell.
It was terrible.
But you're here now, so that's great.
Much better, yeah, 100%.
Huzzah. Freaking za. All right, so on that note, let's jump into tonight's episode and get this party started. Wow!
not go with that pun as an Instagram account because I thought that is the
Oh,
lowest
man.
hanging excuse me, the lowest hanging fruit ever.
And I love lowest hanging fruits. Anyway, hello, welcome back.
So that's what you put on your dating profiles.
No, I just like mangoes.
Ha ha ha.
Is that why it's the safe word?
Because it's delicious. Yes.
Of course, he's
Yeah,
spelling it with
delicious.
man apostrophe. Go.
Happy Pride.
Good
Happy
God.
Pride.
All right. Well, on that note, let's just go ahead and freaking take it away.
Okay, sure. So the party is gathered in the home slash temple of Asclepios's children, Aratus and Iaso. And sitting around their table, which became an emergency surgery station moments ago, Themisto sums up the recent events that brought them to this point. And that's when we ran aground the Harpies. And they stole our crew during the night, some of them. We fear they are dead or maybe worse. It was not far from here, but when we woke, we were in a bit of confusion. Thankfully, thanks to Phoebe flying towards the heavens and spotting your down, and a conversation with some Alcide, we had a feeling that this was the place to go. They had mentioned that the Harpies had bothered your villagers in the past. When we got here, our first instinct was to find room and board. So we did, and that is where we met Maal, the Dragonborn and scholar, who sits with us now. She recounted that she was a historian, and we shared many words. But soon enough, we felt a need to come to the Temple of Asclepios. I wanted to make sure that I bring you the lemon balm seeds, so you could plant something that could help deal with the fear that is inherent in the enemy that we are facing. Aratus greeted us warmly and talked about openly your relationship to Asclepios. You are his children. It is an interesting thing because not on maybe 1-2 islands ago, we were counseled to keep secret these powers that we have. I am interested to see how you came to be so open about it. But of course, as you know, things took a dramatic turn. When the boy Cylon was brought to us, attacked by Harpies himself, with a festering wound that I recognized as this plague that we had dealt with. We weren't sure at first how to deal with it, but all of us tried our best. Cypress with healing, Laertes used his understanding of the way this world works to freeze the infection in place, buying us valuable time as Phoebe dashed off to fetch my things. In that moment, I couldn't think what to do except to reach out to Hecate herself. She told me that the infection must be burned. I knew in that moment what I had to do. I had never done this before, but Phoebe, she holds the sun in herself as Apollo does. And I thought, what a better way to remove such a putrid thing than as that. So when she returned, I didn't need my kit, I needed her, and I needed all of my friends. I reached within and channeled as I have before, but differently this time. With all of us joined, and it seemed to work. And then, watching True Mastery, I saw you and Aratus grant this boy back his arm, though scarred. It returned to him. So, that is how we find ourselves now. You mentioned, as we ended, that there were some Orphics who don't have as noble intentions as we do. All of us have grown up with the stories of the gods feuding. This doesn't surprise me, but is there someone in particular that we need to worry about?
You're muted.
Yes. Thank you. I was like, because I've been having mic issues, so I wasn't sure if I was like, no. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so this human woman, and like I said before, and looks, put her in her mid-30s, maybe a little later. She looks at you with a intensity as you're talking, not necessarily hanging off every word, but listening to everything that you are saying and studying your body language and the way you speak. And it's like one of those, you ever had one of those people that's just like so fully paying attention to everything that you said that it's almost a little on the verge of being off-putting because you're like, oh, I want to kind of step back a little bit. It's kind of like that, but in a, I want to say in a doctor's sense, and it's not necessarily a pun because of being the daughter of Asclepius, but in that sense of like, as a doctor that is listening and looking with the intent of trying to see whether how you are delivering this information, how you feel about this information. She's trying to, like, I guess basically do a vibe/insight check on you while you were talking.
Yeah.
And when you get to the end there, talking about those with ill intentions, I cannot say for sure that they go by any one particular banner. Some have gathered small cults of following. Some do not. Some claim to know the will of the gods, though in more cases than not, they do not even know that they exist. These gods don't even know they exist. Undoubtedly, you have heard stories yourself of those who claim divine heritage. Whether they do things for good or bad changes from story to story, from perspective. We have healed some who have suffered at the hands of these ill-mannered Orphics. And we have come across those who, while perhaps not meaning harm, do not use their powers for good either. We have learned over time that while sure there is a measure of secrecy that we should abide by, there is also no sense in hiding. Some would try to persuade you to do their bidding. Some would try and find a way to coerce you, bribe you, trick you into doing things that you may not normally. We have, me and my brother, some of our siblings and my father, we have no power greater than healing. And while sure, that can be a commodity that would be seen as extremely valuable, it is generally those who have more destructive talents that are sought after by those who would do evil. We cannot be bought, although many have tried. So we do not hide. But what I have seen tonight, your powers placed in the wrong hands, could bring much ruin. That is why I asked.
Themista leans back in the chair there in that small dining room. Her snakes look back at Yaso. Not all of them, and not quite so intensely, but more curiously.
There's a moment of quiet contemplation as everyone kind of just snacking and eating and thinking about maybe what all of this entails. Anything else you guys are wanting to ask or say or do?
Laertes has been sort of, I wouldn't say fidgeting as much as there's a certain quiet, anxious energy that he's been keeping on a very short leash, but I'm sure on some level, people are becoming a little bit conscious of it. A little like that sensation of knowing when a TV is on in a different room. That kind of thing. Like you can't quite put your finger on it, but you know something's amiss.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks to, I have to look at the name correctly, Aratus?
Mm-hmm.
You were able to sense something of us when you looked.
Yes.
Did you see anything else?
He frowns. I was not looking for anything else, but there could be. Do you wish me to look further?
Please.
Do you want to go to a separate room, or are you comfortable here?
Somewhere else for now.
He nods, looks over at his sister, frowns again, puts his plate on the table, and goes back to what appears to be like his side of the room there, and then gestures for you to follow.
Yeah, I follow.
once there is a wall and door between you and everybody else, he turns to you. What I said earlier was only partially true. I do sense something of you that is different besides your Orphic ability. But I confess I was more interested in looking for other things. Confirmation of your lineage, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
This will only take but a moment. And he reaches out a hand again towards your forehead, but this time like puts thumb forward, so that the thumb, when touching your forehead, will kind of go the center, and then the rest of his hand kind of goes along the side. And he brings his forehead to where his thumb is the one like contacting point between the two of you. And whereas before, when this same motion was done, it felt almost peaceful and warmth. This has that same sensation again, almost to the point of being held in a parent's arms. It's that sort of safe and comfort that you just washes over you. And you can feel it starting from like, it's almost like a body scan. You can feel it kind of going head to toe and then back up again. You can feel that sensation wash over your entirety of your extremes. And then he pulls his head back. I see what you are concerned with. This is not something that most physicians would have been able to find, as I am sure you have already experienced.
So many false promises. Maybe even a few that genuinely meant well. Even a few that claimed your lineage, but could not substantiate it.
This is not an illness that you have. This relates to your gift. If I were to assume, as I have seen some of what you are able to do, you have an astronomical ability to change the makeup of things. Correct?
More alter what it does to an extent.
This power is pulling you apart. There is unchecked a certainty of death, where the bonds within your body begin to break apart. But this happens extremely rarely, as this gift that you have is not a common one. You possess a mind to match the potentness of your power. And you have the knowledge now that you know what it is that ails you. So, by training with this power and looking inwards instead of just outwards, there is a chance that you can surpass this. That you can, for lack of a better term, pull yourself together. Have you ever
Me-
experienced random bouts of dizziness?
I wouldn't say they were random.
Bleeding from eyes or ears?
No. It's more just, I know if I start to use too much, it takes a lot for me just to be able to stand. Half my concentration is that. And then when I finally do something else, it's like having your strings cut. And I have to spend time fixing those. I can't help but appreciate the irony of the very reason I was able to even leave home instead of wasting away in a small room is the very thing that's making it worse.
He seems to think for a minute, trying to figure out how to respond to this.
Mm.
True. But it can also be your saving grace. And the one thing that allows you to survive longer than most who have had this affliction.
Have you seen others? Heard of others?
My father has. He has spoken a long time ago when he was teaching us these healing arts. He had spoken of those who, in the beginning, when there were more Orphics amongst mankind. Those who could not fully control their abilities. And the terrible ways that they would perish. Some very literally bursting apart. It is one of the reasons why we have, me and my sister have different views of this organization that Hecate and Ares are trying to grow. With correct training, deaths would be less. Especially those of the accidental variety. What some fail to realize about these gifts, we can change the world around us. We can alter its form, but we cannot create or change what is not there already. Part of the reason your body suffers as much is the abilities you have require immense amounts of energy and power. So that energy and power must be pulled from somewhere. And it pulls it from your life essence, your force, your will to live, your body, your soul. There are varying names for what you have. But it pulls it from that, pulls the strings tighter, and in a way tears what those things are attached to. There are, as I said, ways to get around this. But you will have to start repairing yourself. Start healing yourself in a way. You have immense potential. My father called it the line of Kronos. You may not be directly related, but those with this power were considered to be of similar mindset.
I don't know where to start.
You have taken the first steps. You know what the problem is, and that in itself is more of a start than most have. Consider all of the people out in the world now. Surely there is somewhere who will never see a doctor or physician that will know what is causing their ailments, not be able to understand to the level that you understand or that I understand. And they will go about their life believing these small little miracles that they cause along the way and if they're lucky, see it as something beneficial. But how easy is it for you to see this as a curse? With the knowledge and the mind that you have, seeing this as a deficit, something bad. You're truly a blessed person to be amongst not only friends who are of similar mind and blood as you, but to also have that and an understanding of the world around them. He puts a hand on your shoulder. You have a beautiful mind. And it will continue to do wonders, I am almost certain.
If you were hesitating on joining a group, place of learning at some point, the world could use someone like you in it.
Gives you this big, heartwarming smile. Kind of smile that someone who receives a compliment fills their chest with this brightness. I appreciate that. So now you know. Now you must take those steps. I cannot claim to understand how you do the things you do. I only know how to identify things, problems.
Hmm.
This will require a meditation, I suppose.
Suppose
But-
that's a good enough place as any.
I am confident that you will find yourself a path to follow. You ask the appropriate questions, and you are not afraid of the answers. Well, maybe a little afraid of the answers, but not terribly afraid of the answers. Some people don't want to find any answers. They would rather stay in the dark.
Staying unaware was never quite my mindset.
You must have been a precocious child.
Despite the fact that I couldn't walk very far, I seemed to get into far more trouble than I should have.
Those are the ones you have to watch out for. The ones who sit and watch.
Efficient.
They-
Most people needed to travel farther to be in trouble.
They know far too much. Come. He puts his both hands on the sides of your shoulder, on the sides of your arms. And lets a little power flow through you. I don't think you are lacking at hit points for right now, right? Yeah. So we're just gonna say that flavor-wise, it's just kind of like relaxes muscle. It's almost like a balm. It's like that like soothing muscle balm that kind of just you feel cool and fresh. It's almost like that minty menthol feeling on your skin from like muscle
no.
muscle ache
I
cream.
just walk in reeking of aloe vera and tiger balm.
But in
That like
this,
that weird waddle walk that you do when you're like been like covered in aloe vera or something after a bad
Yeah.
sunburn. You just, I'm okay. Just help me get to the couch.
Yeah, something just akin to that, where your muscles in your arms and legs and back feel relaxed in a way to where standing is and walking is not as much of a chore as it
Mhm.
kind of tends to be. Reinvigorating, you could say. Yes, you cast Icy Hot. Exactly. Beautiful.
When you cast Chill Touch with one hand and Burning Hands with
Palm.
the other.
Yeah.
Now stay
Yep.
still. This is going to hurt a lot.
All right, Phoebe,
Mhm.
I think you had your hand up a minute ago.
As they head over to their room, Yaso, your brother said that you two keep track of Orphic abilities. Yes?
We have learned to see them, I suppose you could say, yes? We have seen many kinds.
Do you have any understanding of different lineages?
In regards to Orphic power?
Yes.
What is your current understanding of this?
Not much. We know where the first ones came from.
The first ones?
The first Orphic abilities.
And what exactly do you know of that?
When they came here and things changed and powers developed.
You do know more than most.
But what I'm asking is far more selfish. I'm asking from me specifically.
She just smiles.
I think the one who can offer me the most answers cannot talk back right now.
Whereas lineage can affect a person's gifts, that is not always the case. For some, sometime it was believed that that sort of lineage would determine a person's potential or capabilities. But we have seen Orphic blood change individuals who had normal heritages. Powerful individuals that came from nowhere. And we have seen those with powerful lines show nothing. It was, according to my father and some of these stories he told, it was those differences that set people apart. She seems to think about what she is going to say next.
And the mister will rub Phoebe's back to reassure her. Not at all to stall for time.
Cypress, was there something you were going to say?
Cypress did have a question that he's willing to wait for if
Okay.
necessary. But
Yeah, I'll get there.
after seeing,
I said, all right, we'll get there.
Okay.
Let me just finish this.
yeah,
She picked now of all times to ask to paint her fingernails.
Yes. Beautiful. What could
the
possibly go
window
wrong?
is over.
No. You just go here. It's fine. Some of these stories that my father said of these first ones was that fact caused some division amongst the gods. When they're children of some of the most powerful Orphics to have ever existed on this world showed no sign whatsoever. Generations pass. Generations have passed. You yourself have shown a fiery disposition, you could say. Yes?
Yes.
Some would say that falls in line with Apollo, Ra. Various sun deities exist across the world. None of them related to each other. It could be that these powers are forming a new line. Or it could be that you are the lost daughter of a king of fire. Something tells me, though I know not much of you, something tells me that this fire is only the beginning. You... May I see something? I want to examine you. And it will not be invasive. Undoubtedly, my brother already did something similar. This is
Not
how
me,
he...
though.
I know.
Please go ahead.
The mister's gonna put a hand over Phoebe's.
Phoebe's gonna turn her hand and squeeze yours.
As Iaso kind of scoots a little closer, she looks at your hand contact and then looks up at the misto. For this, I will need just her. I'm sorry.
The mister's gonna return that squeeze and then give them space.
She puts her hand out in the same way that I described earlier, of like thumb to the forehead, and then like lays the rest of her hand around the side of her head. As she places this, she scoots over to where her head touches her finger and is like pressed against your head for a moment. And the same sensation, that same warmth and familiarity and comfort passes over you from head to toe and back up again. And she pulls away. I need you to make a perception check for me.
And 18.
There is a passing momentary flicker of flame in her eye. It's like when an eye catches the glint of a fireplace. It's almost like you can see a reflection of fire in her eye, but there is no fire in this room. Just some lanterns, lamps, and candles that are lit, that are high above, so they would not reflect this fire. And she takes in a deep breath and lets it out. As I thought. There is a fire that burns within you, Phoebe. Heritage, we have never been able to tell, but there is a burning so vast and so deep. It is undescribable. Be careful with what you have. With it, you could burn the whole world. I appreciate your control that you displayed earlier. Just beneath the surface roils flames much larger than that. If you are from a divine heritage, it is one unlike anything we have ever seen before. She looks over at Themisto and just kind of goes, "Oof." Almost.
Thank you for taking the time to look.
She nods.
I had put away the idea of knowing anything about myself for so long. But when all of this Orphic business came about. All those questions bubbled to the surface again.
It is. It is to be expected. There is a lot of curiosity involved in all of this business. Boom! Firecracker. Yoink.
No, funny you say that.
Yeah. Cypress, what was it you were going to say?
Cypress has been watching all this, and he approaches Yaso. I admit I'm made a bit nervous by what you've discovered. Is it, if I may ask for your vision on my own condition, I don't feel coming apart as Laertes is.
You wouldn't know that
but-
either.
Hmm?
You wouldn't know that.
Oh, did that happen without me though?
No, that happened
Forgive
in a
me.
separate room.
Yeah, so
Forgive
none
me.
of us know.
Forgive me,
Yeah.
forgive me. Likewise, the conversation instead was, I don't know much about myself in the same way. I have learned most of what I know about the gods in the last consults his little black book 12 days. And I don't even really know what I'm looking for, but if you can tell me anything about myself, I don't know what my lineage is at all. Hasn't mattered up to this point, but one starts questioning these things when their friends seem to be so special, and more so than one simply feels being their friend.
I don't think that you lack for specialness, boy. These people around you would not have you here if you were not unique or talented. And as I said, I cannot tell lineage. We cannot see beyond the fact that your blood carries that of the old ones, the first ones, as was said. But I can see if there is something that ails you.
Yes. I also imagine it wouldn't be the same, but do you see a fire burning within me?
I don't have to touch you to know that I see a sadness burning within you. But that is the case with all lovesick boys. I have seen that many times before, too. But come here. Come over and sit next to me. She smiles in this like maternal / jokey auntie kind of way. Just
As,
Come
as
here.
she scoots over, Phoebe will look at Cypress and say, "She's right. We wouldn't keep you around if you weren't amazing. And I've chosen you as my brother. So whatever she sees, don't forget that."
she comes over, or you come over to her, and she Sonder says he is sorry, his internet went out.
Oh.
It just got restarted. process is the same. She places a hand on your head and leans over. Leans back after a moment and smiles at you. Well, as I said, I know what heartache looks like. But despite that fact, you are exceptionally healthy. In the blessing of the young, of course, but the eyes can see an athlete and champion, and you have the heart to match.
Thank you.
Your power and prowess, while perhaps not as outwardly as visible as this flame beast we have before us, or perhaps not as knowing as the healing arts as myself, my brother, or Themisto. There is still something to you that is protected. And there is still there is a blessing, I suppose you can say. Whether you know it or not, there is a blessing that you have. But care for that heart of yours. Whoever is on the receiving end of this longing, let it not distract you from whatever course you and your companions set.
Thank you.
She smiles and then runs her hand through your hair and kind of just like scruffles your curls a little bit. A charming young man you are. You have much to learn yet. But you do not need fire to show where your strengths lie. You are also courageous and willing to jump into the fire. I have a sense. If someone is going to wind up getting hurt first, it will probably be you. She looks over at Themisto, so keep an eye on this one, eh?
Or jumping into a barracks by himself.
I
Right,
was wondering if you'd already told her when I wasn't paying attention. Seems very poignant.
Themisto will laugh.
I just know troublemakers when I see them. As I said, I,
I
have
didn't
seen
make
a
the
lot.
trouble. I simply flung myself towards it.
And that trouble would probably have stayed there, even if you had not.
Thank you.
Do not thank me. Well, I guess you can thank me by heeding my counsel. And then we'll say that this is about when Laertes and Aratus exit the room. There's the Astrid. Boop. Yoink, yoink, yoink. Okay. Gonna move everybody. Yoink, yoink, yoink. Welcome back. She looks Iaso looks over at Astrid, who's been kind of quiet.
Astrid, you're being very quiet.
Am I being quiet? That's just a lot to think about.
It must be your training with Artemis kicking in.
You are the captain of the ship, yes?
Yes.
Do you know how to use that. She nods to your device.
This device has like great many applications.
Oh, I know. I've seen one before. Someone that my father helped once had one. You... I am assuming by the confidence that you sit here with, you know more about yourself than perhaps these few.
I was trained under Artemis, and in a way she helped me find myself. But it was my love for the ocean, for sailing, that helped me discover the astral parts of me.
She smiles when you say that.
And I'm just now recently learning truly how to harness those powers without the use of this device.
That will take time, I'm sure, but it is good that you have something to help you along the way.
Mm.
Ma'al has just been sitting in the corner, just kind of like tapping clawed fingers on her face.
I would take my turn to ask if there was anything special about me, but I have a strong suspicion that there is not.
Well, how would you know? How did-
She is a physician, not a fortune teller.
Yes. We both have our scales, Mal. That is pretty special about us, I'd say.
That is true. Perhaps we are related to the great snaking serpent of the sky or something. Who knows? All of this talk of lineages and powers. My mind is still spinning. I feel like I am in the company of fools, but you are all smarter fools than any I have seen before, and you speak with a confidence that says there is no joke to this. There is no wishing for it when there is not substance to prove it.
I'd say this is when Laertes is finally sitting back down. Just, I've been called worse than fool so far.
She looks over at you, Laertes. So, are we going to be cursed with your presence for much longer? She smiles.
Well, we'll see.
Can I insight Laertes to see how he's doing after whatever conversation he just had?
I'll tell you right now, he doesn't know.
Hmm.
You kind of get the impression he heard something and he's still trying to process it, how he even feels about it. But I would say that because she tends to pay a little more attention to him, he smells like vaguely of icy hot. No, I was waiting for
What do I smell?
Bad timing. Or good timing.
No, it's almost as if Chronos had a hand in this. He seems to be moving a little easier, as if there's a little bit of a weight lifted. But you don't know if that's metaphorical or physical.
Metaphysical.
I mean, yeah,
or medical?
it's that kind of day, folks. I suppose I should reflect the question back to you. Are we going to be enjoying your company for much longer now that you know all this?
I may be a cynic of sorts, but do not presume that I do not fear the wrath of the gods, provided that I go tattling of their spawn, or the lack of spawn, whichever the case may be. I do not wish to be visited by Ares or Hecate under circumstances of my blathering lips. As I said before, anyway, I am not the one to go talking to many. I seek knowledge and understanding for myself. And perhaps for my little book, but nobody is going to read that anyway.
I think I would.
Good luck deciphering it first.
And you know,
Oh.
Mal, now that you know so much, and you say you wish to know more, we often find ourselves in situations where we are beginning to understand things that we never thought could be true. So, perhaps you found yourself in the right company.
Perhaps. Perhaps. You spoke earlier of the first ones and them their arrival here. You mean of the gods?
We know something of the gods, yes.
Huh.
It is still hard to know for sure, but the stories reveal themselves to us more with each step that we take.
Curious. Well, if I am not being sent off to Ilum to go and find new things, perhaps new companions won't be so bad, but I will have to sleep on it, I think. This is a lot of things to happen all at once. Much more than I generally care for.
It has been an eventful 2 weeks.
All of this has happened for you in the last 2 weeks?
All of is. It's gone on before that, but that's when we met.
That sounds exhausting enough for a lifetime, much less 2 weeks. Oh, I may not be able to keep up with you children.
I've run a marathon or two.
That
course.
reference doesn't exist yet. You mean you've
Son of a
run
bitch.
2 marathons?
I thought I was being clever. I was not. But I'm from an island.
Ah, yes. The illustrious island of Thebes.
You've heard that.
I have. And avoided it. Elementals and primordials tend to be a little snobbish for my tastes.
Cypress just like his face kind of tightens. In a, I don't have a comment for that statement.
How do you spell Titan in this instance?
With an A.
There we go.
See? See? I knew it. He knows. He's seen before. In any case, I have a lot to mentally digest. I am going back to the blessing. No need to disturb yourselves. This old woman has to walk her own feet on her own feet. She gets up. Larity's what you're gonna say.
Can I just get a general vibe check off of her?
Yeah.
I'm not even really sure what I'm looking for. I'm just. I imagine nothing, because he's still processing everything that was just told to him. So that's an 11.
Yeah, she actually legitimately seems like she is. There is a facade that she is putting on of
Mhm.
like being snarky, but you can tell as she's like lifting herself up from her seat,
Mhm.
she's shaky. Like her
Mhm.
body is like trembly and tired. So there is a bit of truth to her saying that she is just tired because she does seem very weary, but
Mhm.
she's putting on this like snarky defensive wall.
Would you mind terribly if I accompanied you? I have a bit of energy I kind of need to burn off.
If you are sure you do not want to spend more time with this feast of divine energy or whatever is happening.
Oh well, us high and mighty have to walk along the mortals sometimes.
Ha ha ha! You cow, come with me.
And as you get up, she like grabs your arm to like loop an arm through through it, and you both kind of lean on each other. I would imagine a little bit.
Do you both need a third?
I imagine there's that instinct too of the same concentration that he expended to help Phoebe run just a little bit faster. He's now using just to make sure that they don't lean to one side or the other.
Yeah. Aratus comes and sits down, takes a couple of bites of bread, looks over at his sister, and just kind of does the like that with his eyebrows, but doesn't say anything. Anything else you guys are wanting to ask while you are in here, or?
I am curious. Yaso and Aratus. I know that these abilities that we have don't necessarily come from specific things per se. I guess I don't know. But I have seen Themisto heal people with ritual and prayer, and I'm sure some of her own innate power. I also am able to heal people, and I've never quite understood it. I know I'm not the only one. Even from Thebes, there were other subservients and the like who had limited healing powers, but I don't even really know what I'm asking. But do all powers have to come from something, or are they more innate or ritual based? If you don't know the answer, that's totally fair, because I don't exactly know what I'm asking.
Yaso is the one who answers first. How we manage to heal, and how Themisto manages to heal, and how these people that you say from your home, the manner in which we achieve our abilities varied and different. Themisto uses prayer, ritual, practice. But the
manner in which she does this is honestly no different than the way we do, or the way Laertes does his gifts, or the way Phoebe brings fire from nothing. What we have seen is the mind of an individual is unique. And with each unique mind comes a unique understanding and view of the world around it. Themisto has been trained through practice and our religion to achieve these things. But the way she heals is no different than the way we heal. The effect is the same. Sometimes the mind needs a thing to process, and sometimes it doesn't. There is no right and wrong way to do it. The outcome is the same. We are mending what is broken, pulling together what was torn apart. There
Thank
are
you.
certain universal truths to what all Orphics can achieve. I'm sure Hecate would have her own reasons for, or explanations for these things. You are probably better off asking her.
I think your explanation is better for me than whatever she might tell me.
I will not tell her you said that. Not that she ever speaks to me.
I am sure she already knows.
Malaka.
Thank you. And thank you for your help.
Thank you for... And she kind of looks this more towards Themisto and Phoebe and the rest. We appreciate your company. It is not often that we can speak of such things to individuals that will understand what we are saying.
It is a new experience for us as well.
Well, anytime you are in Pasay, you are welcome to stop here.
When this current journey is done, and I have attended to the other duties that I must attend to.
Ah,
It
yes.
would be good to make my way back down here sometime, or if not, if you could come to Delphi. I expressed myself truly when I said I wish to learn more.
We would love the opportunity to teach Themisto of Delphi. You may count on our support, Pythia to be.
That is gracious of you, thank you.
I don't know how much support it will garner from two physician priests from a small village, but every voice counts, I hear.
And the Sclepios relation to Apollo will help as well.
Potentially. Wherever the hell he is.
Asclepius or Apollo?
Either one. But I was referring to my father. Come. A little parting gift for everybody. She reaches out her hands and touches a part of her hand onto a skin that's either on arm or on the side of a face.
And we'll give Laertes 2, this would have been part of the thing done earlier. We'll give you guys 5 temporary hit points.
Nice.
A refreshment of sorts.
Was it 5 you said?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It was a beautiful surprise to meet both of you.
Aratus nods and smiles. The timing you had was impeccable, to say the least. But I am glad for it. I do have a question. The effects that that young man had, the poison, you did not seem... I'm trying to remember now if you actually said something that you had seen this before or not.
I said that
You
we'd
had,
seen
right?
it before and I knew how to deal with it.
You said you had seen this before. And that this growing of the leaf would come in handy.
Just so.
How worried should we truly be?
If we are able to move with quickness, then you should not need to worry. But our trail through the Isles to the south was one following a path of devastation, imparted by beings that can do this, but much worse, what we saw. So you should be worried, but you cannot fear. That will bring about what we are trying to avoid.
Fear. He looks at his sister. She looks down at the table, not making any sort of eye contact. Our father once spoke of a fear-based plague that spread across the world after the fall of the Old Kingdom. That it terrorized the hearts of men. And from it brought forth all sorts of evil. Is this the same kind of plague?
It is a piece of it, yes.
And fire is a key component?
It must be burned.
He looks at his sister, who, again, still is listening, but just seems to be staring very intently at the surface of the table. It is good to know. Thank you. You guys head out? If you guys are done, unless there's anything else you're wanting to talk about or ask.
I just want to do one small tiny retcon.
Sure.
Just before Mal would have pulled him out to the tune of the Simpsons theme, I guess is what that was in the background. There just would have been a polite sort of squeeze of Aratus' shoulder and a small nod and just thank you before you headed out.
And then, as we are walking after we've left, well, I'll give Aratus a in the past opportunity to respond, though, I guess first.
It was just he would have just put a hand over Laertes' hand.
Mhm.
Doctor-patient confidentiality and all.
Yeah. As we leave, once we are out in the night air at this point, I imagine,
Mm-hmm.
Themisto will, with just a little, very slight, kind of tired laugh, just say, the pity is not supposed to be so direct with her advice. But I am glad we did what we did. Astrid, and the boy who was hurt, his father, he said they had been sailing to the south, that they had found an island there that the harpies came from. Perhaps we must take to the sea once again after all. And she's gonna look to the rest of the group as they continue to walk. I know we need to head to Sparta, but if they are, as it seems, indeed influenced by this plague, it would be wrong of us to move on.
Our mission is to fight this darkness. If we know where it might be coming from, at least this next piece of it, then we save safe.
Perhaps Negush is there. We did not get the chance to finish what we started at the Temple of Apollo on Palagyeros.
Then we sail down past Antikythera.
And if the fates are kind, we will find your crew too.
Though they knew their fate in joining my crew.
But let us not let these feelings weigh us down. We did a good thing here today, all of us together. It is just a one boy's life, but every life is meaningful. Who knows what he may yet go on to do?
It was beautiful how you thought to bring us all together, to share our powers.
It is what was needed. I
It
must
is-
remember to say these things to Laertes too.
It's also reassuring that our foe can be overcome. In a way, despite having overcome a piece not too long ago, I feel like I've learned more about it in a way that has made me more afraid than I was beforehand. So it is good to remind ourselves. Not only did we beat it before, but we can continue to do so.
The gods trusted this to us. They believe in us, and as I believe in them.
I do agree that perhaps going south is the best choice, with infectious harpies being a threat, and perhaps worse, spawning or guiding them. The idea of backtracking a little bit on our journey does worry me. I don't know what race we are in, but I don't know if other forces will proceed onwards as we go back.
Yeah. The winds as they blow across the countryside often change direction. It does not mean that this is the wrong course. And the mister is gonna clasp him on the shoulder for a moment.
I agree.
Okay.
And we continue walking.
Laertes, was there anything that you were wanting to talk to Ma'al about as you were walking back?
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Earlier on that exact path.
Or really like 4 feet in front of them because they're just both doing the old people
Rufus is
shuffle.
I must remember to tell this to Laertes. Oh, Laertes.
My ears are burning.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
You are
I have a
burning the
growing hair
world.
anyways. It'll be a few minutes just to kind of let a little bit of a concept of companionable silence attempt to happen. And just put a little bit of distance between us and the quiet reverie. So now that it's just us two scholars, how are you really feeling about everything?
Strange, I suppose.
Hmm.
It is one thing to hear these stories told by men, to read the accounts told by, well, whoever the F writes these things. It is quite another to see them with your own eyes. I have lived for a while. I have seen men in their darkest of times before the Golden Age. After the Golden Age. Now. What Iaso said is true. You must be conscious of what you are doing in this world. You know, or seem to know, a bit about the pulling of strings from what I have seen.
Something like that.
So do most men. And they don't do it in a physical sense like you do. I have heard plenty of accounts of those who have been told by kings and people of power to do things that, while on the surface seem helpful, have longer lasting effects than the immediate.
Yes, I've read much the same. Seen it on occasion.
I'm sure. Whatever evil it is that you are hunting, this darkness that is threatening to spread itself across the blanket of the world. What would happen if one of you should fall to it?
Nothing good. We've discussed the gods, so he looks around briefly. Let's dispense a little bit with the facades. If an ant is taken, still an ant. A normal, whatever that word really means anymore, person is taken. Corrupted. They're dangerous, but finite. If one of us is taken, I imagine it's all the worst impulses and none of our guiding principles. Even such things begin to apply. What if one of what you and I might call gods, if they're taken, that is so much more exponentially worse.
She
An
just
ant
nods.
cannot fight it. Maybe a person might be able to slow it down. A god, whatever that word means now, they would be potentially be able to do so much more, but be at the most risk. I think an interesting twist of fate is that we're just powerful enough to do something to fight it, where our risk is at least a little more mitigated by the presence of each other and the fact that there are people who are more aware and more powerful that, if needs be, can put us down. If
Ale,
Go ahead.
but
no, I was only joking about the wrath of the gods. I had not considered it as an actuality.
if that boy, if we couldn't save him, we couldn't extract the sickness from him, that had taken too much, had burned its way through him. To save everyone else, we would have had to burn him entirely.
To be honest, that is what I had expected at first. And it probably would have been a kindness. But the boy seemed well. Truly, this skill is been placed in the proper hands. For now.
Well, I think luck is simply skill, preparation, and opportunity.
I like the way you break things down.
Well, I Well, I would prefer you not spreading too much of everything you know. Studying is what we do. I just ask you to be careful and judicious for the time being. This does all need to get out at some point. We can't live in the shadow of our collective ignorance forever.
This is true. I only wish that I had the confidence that most people would not use this knowledge for their own personal gain. You are a unique gem amongst mankind. Most of you are. The majority are in it for themselves. I wish that it were otherwise, but time has proven this fact infallible. They will seek to find a way to bring it to their own richness, I suppose. To seek dominion over their fellow man has been the way of mankind since before the fall, it seems. Though now I'm beginning to question how much of that I actually know.
You were talking before about your own ends. Is to learn so that you can protect yourself. So that you can anticipate what's coming next. I think for many, that's where it starts. And then for many, if not most, that spirals off into something worse.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So what is the worst case scenario for your ends? Where does this thirst for knowledge go?
The satiation of curiosity, perhaps. I have always felt there was truth hidden beneath the world that everyone could not see. And the more I have begun to dig around, the more I find and unravel. And the more it seems that the answers provide 5 more questions. Currently, I'm at 347 questions, and it is getting tiresome to keep track of them all.
That seems low.
Compared to the thousands I have answered, yes. But it is good to have had 5 of them answered now, this night.
Which ones were those?
If I would continue on this journey alone without finding someone who would understand me. That was the big one. But there is some other truth to the gods that have guided and cursed us in a way. That the decision to stay at the blessing would be a bad one. Although that remains to be seen, I suppose.
Meal wasn't terrible.
Whether
Company was
tr-
better.
whether the true miracles of the healing powers of these priests were more than just the legends of the townspeople. And lastly, whether there was still good in some of the hearts of men. You have given me a reason to hope. Although I find it might be ending in disappointment one day, but for now, good reason to hope.
Well, if you ever wanted to have more answered and more to ask,
Oh,
maybe it might be best to stick with us for a little while.
this ship of the Capitanios. Is it a sturdy one? Leaky? I tend to not like to get in the water.
I can't guarantee not getting into the water, but I can guarantee it is the most sturdy craft on the sea. Hephaestus himself did the rebuild.
Wait, you're serious?
And he sort of smiles and just continues a couple of steps ahead.
Also, everyone, we've received a posture check, so stretch it out.
Hold on, I'm still in lizard form. I must lean forward.
I've never left lizard form, okay? That's just state of being at this point.
That's fine. That's fair. Oh, okay. Well, we'll take that moment to go ahead. Big stretch, indeed. Big stretch. Ah. Anyway, we'll take that moment to. Oh no, I hurt myself. To go.
The opposite of what that's
I thought-
supposed to do.
I thought I played Laertes. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
We have like instead of a posture check, it's like pain check, and it's like aw, and they just like
Oh,
injure
no.
No,
yourself.
pain check would just be yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, got it.
Can I check that 5, 6, 7 times?
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna take a quick break, go to the restroom, and get some water, etc., etc. See you in a minute. wake up with a start. And you are on the ship, taking a deep breath. It was just a dream. It was a memory, but it is past now. Years have passed since Order 66, and still, it makes your heart race.
Okay. I felt,
Yeah.
you know.
It was the dream again.
Oh, again, I'm sorry.
It's happening more frequently, but it's okay. I didn't throw anything this time, so nothing's
Improvements.
broken.
Yes.
Kilei Kalei Rango Koka.
And he comes in and gives you a big hug.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I could choke him from far.
Oh, I like that idea.
I love the skills this team has. Laura, you go for it.
Entering into the room, two individuals, a Mira Luca and a human, both with red lightsabers with circular hilts. Well, well. It's clear to me that you are not trained in the Jedi ways. You don't have any of these skills, clearly. It would make it that much easier for you to join the Inquisition. I already sense enough darkness here to get you along your path.
Offer to join the Inquisition. That's our big break, I think. Yeah. We might need to respectfully decline. Maybe next year we can meet up at some point and talk again. What do you think?
Reaches up her hand, putting it on his face, but like grabbing into it and be like, "We will never join you guys."
Well, Cora, you feel that it's not just the Inquisitor that is tapping into this other side.
I turn to Laura and just be like, "Hey, remember the balance thing? Just saying."
There we go. There we go. There we go.
You hit the right button.
Go.
Hold the lever.
Oh,
Oh no,
alright.
blood.
Oh, no, blood.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I see. I was confused where we were. I was like, where did you see
It's
blood?
an infinitely renewable resource. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yikes. Yikes, spikes.
Well, they barely screamed.
Very quick brewing time, all things considered.
Indeed. Okay, so Laertes, you and I'll get back to the inn.
Mhm.
Settle in. She goes off to her room. You go off to yours. Shortly afterwards, the Misto, Phoebe, Astrid, Cypress, you guys return as well.
I would have left my door open a little bit just so that I know when they come back.
Okay.
In that case, Mister, if you give me just a moment,
Of course.
now I'll knock on Laertes' cracked door.
Yes.
You still awake?
Usually.
If you don't mind, I wanted to check on you before I went to sleep.
Of course. Come in.
And I'll enter and close the door behind. I don't know the details of your conversation, and I don't need to if you don't want to share them. But I wanted to see how you were. You know, you can be very hard to read sometimes. I couldn't figure out what had happened when you came back in.
That's the practiced teacher face.
Always leave your students in
Nice.
fear because they can't figure it out.
Well, sometimes you want them to be second guessing themselves, so they try a little harder. Or if they're right, you want them to maybe stop being smug little shits about it.
Oh, I'm so glad I was never in your class.
Well, I was both versions of that, so turnabout is fair play, I guess. I'm not really sure where to start. He somewhat explained this. Turns out it's not an illness per se.
Yet you don't
It's-
seem so relieved.
Double-edged sword, I guess. It's a chicken and an egg problem of I started learning to overcome my various frailties. But in so doing, it kind of just twists the air around them so that something starts to, like a candle or something, kind of just lifts and moves slowly through the room. Because I can do that, my whole body wants to tear itself apart, apparently.
Oh.
And yet, and he candle settles back down to where it was. that may not be the end of it. I'm not entirely sure where to go from here yet. Perhaps I've been so focused on trying to understand the fundamental nature of the reality around me that I've long since ignored looking inward. So, more of an answer than I've ever gotten.
But yet more questions remain.
She would be unaware of this, but he's yo-yoing back to the conversation he just had on the walk there. It's just... I suppose that's just always how it is. In many ways, it's not different from the journey we've been on.
Well, you know we are here for you. Whatever next step on your journey you find yourself on.
Oh, I'm sure I won't keep too quiet about it. Did you get any more answers?
Just that apparently the fire within me is so strong it could burn the world if left unchecked. So once again I ask, if I ever find myself on the wrong side of that plague, you know what you must do instantly.
I was having a similar conversation with Ma'al. That is a possibility we have to internalize and accept.
To be honest, I didn't think you were going to rescue the child today. I'm glad we were able
Miracles.
to, though.
I don't know what I would have done exactly. But unfortunately, viewing so much of life in the world as a math problem, I know the obvious solution. I don't know if I would have had it in me to do it. Part of me's glad that I didn't have to find out.
We could learn from Themistone how to think like a healer and not like a scientist or a fighter.
I think it's less thinking like too much one or the other as much as incorporating all. I think Themisto and the rest of you demonstrated that quite well.
You helped as well, keeping it at the bay.
I saw what it does.
What exactly does it do?
And she's seen him do this before, where he starts up the holographic projection.
I love that so much.
At first it's the outer view, what everyone could see. The outside of the boy's arm. But the image doesn't shrink as much as it seems to zoom in. And it's that weird thing, I don't know if you've seen in a lot of Scorsese movies, where it's that reverse tracking shot, where as it starts to zoom in, the camera rolls forward as it's zooming out. It's very jarring at first, or vice versa. But it starts to take more shape and focus, down and down and down and down, more and more zoom levels, until maybe for the first time ever, somebody is seeing how he sees some things. Just that little microscopic collection of dots that makes up everything. And Aaron would have to correct me a little bit on this, but it wasn't just burning something. I mean, that was a large part of it, I believe. Like an acid dissolving, pulling things apart. And rebuilding it like itself. Is that correct, Aaron? Any other corrections?
You've seen cutaway the player. You've seen cutaways of like skin, the epidermis and stuff. You are watching a very close look of the skin as this black tar splays outward, and it's very venom-like, to borrow from something that you might not be able to visualize a little better. It splays outwards with these tendrils and hooks into the flesh and pulls it. But as it pulls, it makes strand itself out of the skin, and it is that in itself. There's one scene, and this is part of my the inspiration for it. I don't know, and then again, this is also this deep dive, whatever. In the first Suicide Squad movie, Enchantress, when they have her appear, she looks like a normal scientist, and then when she appears, you see hands go like this, and then flip the hand over, and it becomes she transforms. In a very similar aspect, these strands, as they interlace, begin to just pull and revert themselves into this black inkiness that just continues to spread, and it's just a repeating process. So it almost looks like tendrils that are crawling, but it takes a moment to realize that what you are seeing that crawls across the skin is actually it pulling the skin and turning it as it goes, so that it's not so much that it is crawling as much as it is converting as it grows, spreading outwards. It's very ink blotty, like when you've seen the ink blots in water, where it just kind of goes. It does very much that, but in a way that seems almost alive and less physical part of the world. It moves like a creature. It moves in a way that is unsettling. And there kind of sends a shiver down your back.
I'm gonna have to ask Hecate a few questions next time I see her. Mainly, is this the expected behavior? Is this what they've always seen? Or has something about it changed?
I think that would be good information to have.
So, that, amongst other things, will probably be keeping me up tonight.
Perhaps you can find some rest.
I'll bring this up with the others in the morning, but I've tried to urge Ma'al to join us, at least for a little bit. Historian, seeing the real history behind the world.
And maybe the real story to leave for the future. And so much has
Possibly.
been lost.
Oh. That, and it would be, I think, to everyone's benefit to have someone's perspective from outside of all this, less of a biased view. Well, at least a different set of biases.
Someone to keep us from our own hubris.
Or at least to write it down.
We certainly can't ignore it if it's there on paper.
Oh, well, you'd be surprised on that.
Well, I should let you get to your sleeping, or not sleeping.
I'm sure I'll pass out eventually. Thank you for checking in.
Of course. I will leave Laertes and go to my own room.
Okay. I don't remember. Where were Davos and Xanthus?
Mimi.
Did they go somewhere, or were supposed to have been with you the whole time?
Were they still on the
Well, they're
ship?
still recovering.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were beat up.
Okay.
I don't think they went with us.
I don't think so either, but I was couldn't. It's like one of those things where I was like, I can't remember where I put them. I
We
was
I
like,
think they
sail
were still on
and
the
cut
ship.
to them
Yeah.
chilling in an
Because
inn.
we
Oh,
only
that's right.
asked for enough rooms for just us this time. So yeah,
okay,
they're recovering.
So then, for sure, by the time you return, they are both at the inn, and there is a little bit of concern to particularly Davos as he sees you come back inside. He had seen Laertes, and so knew that you guys were, undoubtedly Laertes, as you were going to your room, you were given the 20 questions of like, where did you go? We thought you were going to be here. Where is everybody? And then now waiting, but yeah. Upon seeing Themisto, he comes up to you and he looks you up and down. He's like, Misters, please do not wander too far into the cities without some sort of escort.
I have one in Phoebe. She will take care of me.
True, but I think you know what I mean.
I do, but you should look after your own health too. You need to rest.
We have rested enough today. More so than we normally would have if we had been similarly injured back when we were part of the Spartan army. We have dealt with worse.
Then I am glad you're feeling rested because there is more to come. We have something of a belief in the location of these harpies, or at least the general area. We heard of another attack, so in the morning we will venture back out. I hope you are ready for something like this.
If ever you have seen a more determined look on these hobgoblin boys' faces, now is definitely a little bit of a hardening on both their sides. They become very serious and almost a little eager. Of course, mistress.
But it is late. Is there anything you needed to tell me?
No. No, there's not. I'm glad you are safe.
And I am glad you are safe too.
I suppose maybe tomorrow you can tell me what all we missed.
It was an interesting time, but one where we did some good. So yes, I will tell you as we have breakfast in the morning.
Cut to the morning.
And so then his arm was off.
They're just like food falls to the table from the fork.
I lent a hand.
Ah! Oh, no.
Xanthus is like, you're lying.
Before we say goodnight here, let me bless you. And the mister's gonna take them both. And then closely, quietly do like a little like sports team huddle style blessing with them. Just may Gaia, you who are the mother to us all, please help the wounds of these boys heal and for the strength to carry them through the challenges that we are about to face ahead. Yea, Apollo, may you help their blades strike true, their spear points sharp, should they need it. And so yeah, she will actually expend a bless use with that. s-
Nice.
Thank you, Davos Xanthus, for continuing to look after me.
It is our privilege and our duty to do so. Xanthus just nods. Have a good night, mistress.
Hey, and Nix be peaceful with you too.
All right, so you go to your room. Astrid, anything you're wanting to do tonight? Before we, I'm assuming everybody got. I don't remember. This is also another thing that I forgot to write down. Did everybody get their own room, right?
Except for Phoebe and the Misto.
Right. Okay.
They're willing to cut costs for the sake of the rest of us, and it's
Yeah,
very
it's
much
very-
We
appreciated.
have to.
It's very Astrid, are you doing anything?
No, she's
Okay. Lashes.
Building on what was said, he does try to meditate in the same way that when he's figuring out his spells for the day. But this time, the crystal is put away. He's not using it for that purpose at the moment. He's not trying to levitate or bend the world around him in any way. that he normally tries to do when he's... It's not really so much showing off as much as testing whether or not he can do a thing so that he can apply it later. In much the same way that he was scanning down on the plague and the molecules, atoms, bonds that made up the boy, the plague, and where it was very quickly becoming one entity. And he starts trying to apply that same scan on himself. So he's trying to understand every single dot of reality around him, but when he's done that for himself, it maybe didn't feel like it accomplished anything or didn't learn anything new. But he's just going to focus on that until he gets tired. Not so much looking for anything in particular, as much as a little like a human genome project sort of thing, where it's less looking for something specific and more just mapping out the entirety. The idea of you cannot think outside the box until you know the size, shape, dimensions, and purpose of the box as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we're doing.
And that being as it may, I will say that this is one of the first times when you're doing this with yourself that not that you necessarily feel dumb about it,
Mm-hmm.
but you see what Aratus was speaking of. You can see parts of your bone structure that are separated in a way that is very obviously abnormal, but
Mm-hmm.
something that was like, it feels dumb in the sense of this answer was here this whole time, but you'd never thought to go this far down in your own structure.
It's that problem of a puzzle is always obvious to the person who made it.
Mm-hmm.
And you do feel stupid when it's pointed out to you a little bit, but in a way it's going, oh, at least I understand it now.
Right. And so you kind of take inventory, I guess you could
Mm-hmm.
say, of your body and the spots where you're weakest, and just in the sense of you're not the most put together there.
Mm.
And you start to try and catalog what you can do or what needs fixing first, in that sense of just like trying to figure out everything all the way down. Nice. Cypress. There's a knock on your door as you're starting to settle in.
Hello?
Nobody answers.
Hello? Cypress reaches for wherever his sword is.
There's still no answer.
Someone is there. Please say so.
You do this still from bed?
Yes.
You look down at the shadow, and you can see that there are 2 feet that are on the other side of the door, but no one is saying anything.
Cypress reaches over for his sword and just kind of sits on the bed. There's no way you don't hear me.
There's still no response.
Cypress gets up and gets closer to the door, but doesn't open it. There's clearly someone behind this. Could you just say who it is? So I could put my weapons away.
Your weapons aren't going to do you any good, Theban. It's Davos.
Oh. Why'd you take so long? You aren't here to hurt me, are you?
You're still saying this from the other side of the door?
Yes.
There's no response.
Listen, I trust you more, but I'm trying to be thoughtful for my own safety. He will crack the door open, but does have his weapon on him.
Davos is just standing there.
Hi.
Are you going to let me in, or am I going to stand in the hallway?
Oh. I figured that the door was an invitation.
It is not open
Sure.
all the way.
All right. Cypress opens it more, but gives him kind of a look.
He doesn't have his weapon. He's barely even armored, which is very unusual to have seen him in not armor. He's just wearing his normal clothes.
Are you all right?
He doesn't answer you. Instead, sits down on the floor at the foot of your bed. And just stares at the floor.
You just need company.
Doesn't say anything, but he just nods. You're one of
Cypress, not sitting next to him per se, but does go and kind of sits next to him by the bed on the floor.
You're one of the only people that I have ever told.
That you miss someone?
It would be seen as a weakness.
It is a vulnerability. It is something that hurts. It is something that makes one irrational, and I still wouldn't call it a weakness.
Spartans would.
Hmm.
You're not able to, all the things you described wouldn't make you a very poor soldier. If you had them regularly, wouldn't you agree? Being irrational.
I don't know. I admit, while I was trained for combat extensively, I wasn't trained for war. I was trained to fight and protect a single person, which, being apart from him, it does make that less effective. I don't think I'd like Sparta. Did you?
It wasn't something I didn't had a choice with. It simply was, and I guess will be. And maybe not now, but
I mean, do you have to go back?
I don't know. I do have a purpose now, a goal, if you will.
Is the person you miss there?
No,
No.
no.
If you don't mind me asking, where are they?
It doesn't say anything.
It's fair. That could mean many things, so I hesitate to throw out a reassuring or bits of wisdom that might quickly turn to harsh irony. But if they are alive,
He nods.
you don't have to go back to Sparta. You could tentatively go to where they are.
He nods again. Do you mind if I sleep on the floor?
No? You can certainly use one of the blankets. I don't mind sleeping on the floor if you would benefit from a bed. You are injured.
I do not
I
ever
could
sleep
practice some Spartan practices.
I never sleep on beds. They're too painful.
Have you tried?
I have.
Is there a way I can make the floor more comfortable for you to sleep?
No. The presence of a companion is good.
I can do that.
Thank you, Cypress of Thebes.
You're welcome, Davos.
And he just literally just curls over onto the side in almost fetal position and just with arms tucked under his head. Starts to sleep.
Cypress spends a good long time just in that way of, for one thing, taking in the emotion of the moment, but also trying to not stir so as to not disturb the person falling asleep. Spends an unknown amount of time just kind of crouched there, sitting on the floor nearby. And if sleep takes him, he would yield to it. But if he ends up being unable to sleep, he would get into bed.
I say you get tired enough to where you eventually drag yourself to bed.
He will do so.
One last thing before you get a long rest. Phoebe. As you snuggle into your comfy spot, however that is, sleep overtakes you. And the words of Iaso ring through your mind. Burning fire. sun. Its tremendous heat that fills your insides. You, as Dreamy, can visualize what our concepts of the surface of the sun is like. This raging, burning inferno. A crackling of consuming energy. And it is one of the first times that you, as Phoebe, are aware of its presence within you. A wellspring of power. Is this what it feels like to be Apollo? The stories of the god of the sun. That burning strength. The heat that dries your skin, as you Dreamy know all too well. And yet, that sun sits in an inky darkness of the sky in your mind's eye. And something about what you had seen earlier unsettles you. There is something about the way that burning crackle. What would that look like in the dark? What would that look like if it wasn't bright? You remember seeing the way those strands of inky tar turned flesh into more of itself. And your imagination starts to kind of snowball, watching this burning brightness slowly consume into a burning darkness. Strands of power beyond imagination rocketing up into the sky and swirling around and twisting everything that it touched. Your mind goes to the visions that you've had of the Orphics of the past, the stories and descriptions that Themisto has shared and the others of your party have shared of these powerful individuals with immense potential becoming creatures of the plague and unleashing that potential in the world around them. And it's like when you're dreaming and you can feel hot and bothered and under the covers and everything feels sticky and uncomfortable, and you can feel that crawling on your skin. And even though you're not aware of it, you begin to shift and fidget. What if that happened to you? What if that fire that could consume the world was given to it? What do you do? What are your thoughts?
Terrified. I think, you know, when something gets so hot, it's supposed to start feeling like it's freezing instead. I think that warmth of that initial feeling of the sun within her starts to shift as it's gone from a sun of light to one of darkness. That like weird kind of sci-fi bright inkiness, that, but it almost feels icy inside her. similar to like the cold shiver you get when you're terrified.
Mm.
And I think her body in the streaming state is almost like trying to like tear the sheets apart in anxiety. Like it's bundled up and like knotted and
Your mind begins to visualize everyone. You've talked about this. What they would have to do if any one of them were given to the plague. And that little marble of fear that sits just behind your chest begins to grow bigger. As you start to envision what it would look like as Phoebe was given to darkness and her friends would have to hunt her down. In your mind, just like a dream that you know is a dream, but it becomes almost like a runaway dream where you can't do anything to control it. It just continues to like feed itself. In your mind's eye, you see Cypress, terrified, but firm and resolute. Shield flashing in the light. No, not the light, the darkness. You see Astrid pulling stars to her side, eyes wet with tears. You see Laertes floating above the earth and chunks of it flying at his side, shaking his head, pleading, no, 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 no. And at the foot of it all, you see Themisto clutching at her heart. And when she looks up at you, snakes burned away, smoldering embers replacing parts of her face. And pleading. No, 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 no. But it is not her that is pleading, it is you. And Themisto, you hear her shifting and going, no, 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 no. What do you do?
I turn so that it is I who am holding on to her. And I calmly, I whisper, I am here, my sunbeam. I am here with you.
And then you are. And you see, as you are clutching onto her, what she sees. Every burning face, every streaming tear, every crackling darkness you experience through her eyes in a weird third-person-y, kind of just barely floating above her sort of way. You in this dreamscape, what do you do?
I give her the advice she gave me once. It was a dream. We will never hurt each other.
Phoebe, you hear in the dream, this is not a dream. This is how we hurt each other.
do I recognize the voice?
No. Yes. No. It's strange. It's like two voices at once. At one hand, familiar. At one hand, alien. Other.
You must believe I will always be at your side. I would give it up for you if you asked me.
Mr. Roll a persuasion check.
That is a 21.
Phoebe, you hear Themisto's voice stronger than the other. And somehow you can sense the arms wrapped around you, even though you are still trapped in this dream.
My sunbeam, my shining ray, my candle in the darkness.
Candle in the darkness. Like a snap. You awaken with a gasp. And you both are no longer in that dream state, but laying in bed.
There was no more light there. There was no more light.
Themisto is just gonna hold on to her. She's gonna put her hand to her face, put her fingers towards her hair. I just hold her so close and so tight. It was a dream.
Phoebe's gonna hold out one hand. She's very scared to try because she's afraid of what she's gonna see. But is gonna try to cast light.
Your skin begins to glow. And a small crackling flame kind of, well, it's like lit plasma that kind of just floats in the air above your hand. It's not even really a full flame. It's just this strange swirling light that kind of just nebulizes right in front of your and over the top of your hand.
But it is regular light.
Mm-hmm. And it pushes back the shadows. Even though now the shadows do this weird dance, because unlike candles that flicker and they kind of make the shadows dance, this is a smoother, almost liquid-like dance to it as it like rolls around over the top of your hand.
And you see the light hits the Themisto scales. You shine on me still.
Phoebe's gonna reach out to touch the scales and then slowly touch the snakes that I had seen burned away.
Themisto is going to tear up a little for that and try to hold back. Because she saw that too in the dream. But they wrap themselves around, little tongues flick out. They're not afraid.
Does it mean Themisto?
It means we must hold through. We will.
Just want to bring light. I don't want to burn the whole world.
Silly things. Silly things we whisper to each other in the night, that is all.
Just want to talk to him again. I want to know what it means.
We will. We will soon. I promise you.
And you guys fall asleep.
I don't know if I can, but
It might take a minute. But you do.
What it means is that you are my son. I will always be there for you. Sure as the light comes day after day. I am here by your side. And the others. With them too. See what we did today, the good that we did. This is you. Not this nightmare.
Phoebe doesn't say it out loud, but as the Misto says, as sure as the light comes day after day, she has the thought, what if one day it doesn't?
And yeah, we'll try to go to sleep, I guess.
And you get a long rest. Yay!
Do we?
It's an emotional trauma.
Are you sure?
Yeah. My job here is done.
Why do you think he gave us the temporary hit points?
So we can. No way.
That was 5 points of emotional damage to you, and 5 points of emotional damage to you.
More than 5.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. I'm into that shit.
Yeah, that's a critical hit for me. No recovering.
One death saves.
That's right.
Snakes wrapping around her fingers.
Astrid, as you wake up in the morning, you wake up rested. And your hand kind of goes out a little bit to the side while you're kind of sleepy still. You reach for your device. And it's there, and your fingers touch it. There's like a surge of cool energy that goes through your body. And you suddenly feel the rotation of the earth below you. This really low rumble of stone. And the spinning pool of the other planets in the system, even though you may not have a concept of what that is, but you feel the pool, the give and the take. And a new day rises. You hear a knock on your door. It is the knock of the Eric's gives.
Come in.
She opens the door and walks
Hi.
in. Sleeping so late, Captain?
What is it?
Oh, the sun's already risen.
Okay.
What would the crew say if they knew you were laying down on the job?
Oh no.
Oh no, it would be so bad for you. She sits on the corner of your bed. Imagine the terrible things that I could tell them.
So there is a now.
How was your night?
but I've had a lot to think about with what has happened yesterday. A lot of the Orphics with us have learned things about themselves. It was kind of those two to help us guide us through some of the things we didn't understand about ourselves. And I think we have a heading.
That is good. The heading, both for the ship and for your companions. What about for you?
To find my way. This bed would have been much warmer with you in it.
Then what would the crew have said?
Oh. Perhaps this time that I give joint custody between you and ship, if you're willing.
You know I would take care of it with my life.
I know you would.
I mean, I feel like Captain Eric's has a good ring to it.
It really does. It does.
Maybe I should just kill you and take your ship from you.
Perhaps. It would get me out of this disaster I've put myself in.
No. I would not let you out so easy. I would definitely just maybe humiliate you in front of your crew, discredit you as a captain so that then you would have no choice but to relinquish command to me. And then
How
just
do
keep
you think of this?
And then just keep you as my slave. Where do you think I learned it from?
Oh yes. No, don't don't fall below him. Oh no, do you mean me?
Either one. Either one. I mean, you did rescue me from pirates, but you've been pretty piratey yourself before.
Yeah.
So you might
we
have
do
your
what we must.
You might have your friends fooled, but I know what you're capable of. Blood and guts and stuff.
We do what we need to do when it comes to surviving. Let's get up.
Are you still laying in bed?
She'll stand up.
I was gonna say, before you do that, she's going to trap you under the blankets. With she's gonna put the blanket over you and then sit on top and then push down so you can't squirm out. She goes and leans over your face and see how easy it would be for me to overpower and destroy you. Don't forget it. And she kisses your forehead and then gets up. We all know who has the real power here. And she winks and leaves the room.
I'm sure it's freckles are gonna glow for a bit before, and you can see them under the blanket glowing through before she picks it up and stands up.
Love it. All right. Well, as you
get up, all of you. Start your day. What? Phoebe, go for it. What were you gonna say?
The very first rays of sunrise, I would like to get up before Themisto because I have a feeling that Phoebe has not slept well since the nightmare. And I would like to go sit in the light and say a prayer to Apollo. Oh, Apollo, I wish you could answer. I wish you could answer. I wish you could answer. Help me be strong. I just want to share the light. That's all I want to do. And we met our grandkids. That was really weird. Forget you have kids, and I want to talk to you about it. Please help me be strong. Help me be strong until I can see you again. And then she'll just sit and meditate as the sun rises and more light pulls in the window.
You sit in the sunlight. You get the sensation again of being heard. The presence in your mind. And a hand holding yours. And you look over, expecting to see Themisto having snuck in and sat by your side. But instead, you see a translucent being of warm sunlight. A young man with golden curls. And this being looks at you. The features are hard to see because it's kind of like that, what you would imagine like astral projection, kind of like translucent. But it doesn't sparkle and shimmer, it's just a silhouette of light. And as he holds your hand, he looks at you. I'm not far, little sister. And you hear Diodorus's voice for the first time in what seems like years. And your heart bursts. And that is where we'll end for tonight. Minus one little thing.
There you are, sunshine.
And that's where we'll end for tonight.
Mister, why did your room darken at that moment? It was like super bright, and then that happened, and it got really dark.
I didn't say anything else. Who, what, when, why, or where?
Phoebe, did you touch the goo? No, I didn't think so.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. What could possibly go wrong? Come on.
Everything. We've played this game before.
Most things. Most things. You've shown us what could go wrong. You very accurately.
That was
depicted what
We
could go
have
wrong.
a 4-part miniseries of how it can go wrong. To what
Yeah,
scale?
but that was like 1,000 years ago. So
Yeah. And it only went from 0 to cataclysmic in about 6 seconds.
That is how long a round is.
This is true. It's fine. There's no need to
All's
panic.
good. All's
History
good.
doesn't
She's opening the
repeat.
box. All's bad.
History doesn't repeat, it just rhymes. Enjoy.
In any case, this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing the good doctor.
Ball of
You know what?
Bahiri, more like I ball because Phoebe.
Emotional.
It didn't exactly rhyme, but you
damage.
give me some credit. That was a quick one.
Yeah. You did great.
I want partial credit, Professor. Professor, please. I was so busy, I didn't have time to do the homework.
Nah, it
It's
was
okay.
good.
You got to see. It's
Okay.
See me after class, but
Shit.
I love you guys. I'm super excited for next week.
And I'm gonna be out in 2 weeks. Well, Phoebe's
Huh.
gonna be dead.
Yeah,
No.
we one more week with Phoebe.
I'm not going to be dead. 'Cause
No.
I
I'm
won't
just be
allow it.
evil.
I guess the
Apollo
Misto
will
will
be
just
dead.
experience total eclipse of the heart.
Totally.
No.
Oh man, that was beautiful and horrible all at the same time. Nah,
That's what I do.
it'll be great. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Worry not, Fraulein. All will be something.
All will be bad.
All will be. Just all will be. Let it be. Let it be. Anyway, it is what you do. Yeah, it is exactly what I do. All right. Well, and that on that note, we will see you next time. Same place, same time. For another glorious return to the ancient Greek days where there is sunshine and happiness and apparently lesbian lovers and
Apparently.
apparently apparently
And some
there are several
hobnobbing
in this
hobgoblins.
and some hobgoblins and
This
little-
party is more than half lesbian lovers.
Oh no.
Now with 4 lesbians.
Oh
and,
no.
and on that
Age
note,
of myth. Whoops, all lesbians.
good night.
Whoops.